Hey skaters, Nate from eSkate Hub here, and today I've got an electric skateboard review of a product that is a little more interesting than usual. It's made by a company who have previously been producing drones. Now they have decided to create their first electric skateboard. It's this board right here, and it's called the Land Snail 930. And I know what you're thinking. I also asked them if they were married to the name, and they said, yes, we believe that the land snail never gives up. So, I don't know, does the name really matter that much? Let me know in the comments below what you think of the name and if that does matter to you. Personally, I don't really care about the name as long as it's got the performance to back it up. So taking a look at the specs on their website, it says that it has a top speed of 48 kilometers an hour, which is 30 miles per hour, and a range of 30 kilometers, which is 18 miles. But it does have a little side note that says these are all done within lab testing. Now, I don't know what that means, if it was hooked up to a machine to run all day and see what the performance specs were, or if they were going around on a go-kart track on a perfectly smooth surface. I'm not too sure. But we got to remember that when we take this out into the real world, we will see the real data. The price of the land snail is, I'm not sure if I'm going to get through this review without smiling every time I say land snail, but the price of it is $899 US, which sits it right in the sweet spot of that mid-range electric skateboard area. So in the box you get, of course, the Brotherhobby Land Snail electric skateboard, the remote, micro USB charger, the board charger, replaceable PU sleeves for the motors, an interesting looking T-tool, stickers, user guide, and a spare grip tape. The deck is 36.5 inches long and 9.5 inches wide. It's made of a one-piece carbon fiber deck, and I was curious because I have seen this style of deck before in the X-Way X1 Pro, and in that review you can see that when I chipped it, it was exposing some wood. So I opened this one up to see what it is really made of. Yep, it's definitely carbon fiber. I probably could have taken off the grip tape and had a look inside to see what it was made of, but I couldn't be bothered, and this one was more fun anyway. So now that we know that it is fully carbon fiber, the deck has zero flex in it. It is really, really stiff. It has a bulletproof coating around the entire deck to prevent it from getting scratched. And yes, it does a good job of preventing scratches, but you just saw that I could cut some away with a hammer and chisel. I can only imagine what a bullet's going to do to it. You're not going to be going at this board with a hammer and chisel very often. This deck is actually quite strong. It can carry a load of up to 230 kilos, which is 507 pounds. And it doesn't weigh that much either. It only weighs 7.3 kilograms, which is 16.1 pounds. A benefit of this coating is that it has a waterproof rating of IP55, which means splashes is going to be fine. You can even hose it down to clean it, but don't go submerging it in any water. It has a slight concave shape, which assists with turning and helps to lock your feet in nice and comfortably. The deck is nice and sleek because all of the electronics are housed inside the deck. And the grip tape has a thin layer of shock-absorbing foam, which helps to soak up a lot of the vibrations from the ride. So here's the remote. It's got two buttons and a thumb wheel, and that's pretty much it. To power it on, you hold down the power button till it vibrates and the screen comes on, and you go turn the board on. With a click, you'll see the connection because the board battery level shows up here in the top right hand corner. To cycle through the modes, you just click this button right here. The modes you've got are low, mid, high, and pro. You can adjust the braking by pulling back on the thumb wheel and hitting the mode button. Same here, you've got low, mid, high, and pro. Another cool feature is cruise control. All you got to do is accelerate so you get to a desired speed, hit the power button once, and now you're in cruise control. To get out of cruise control, you can either hit the power button, brake, or accelerate. It doesn't matter. They'll all take you out of cruise control. The calculations for speed and distance covered on my remote are obviously wrong. This board cannot do 68, 67 kilometers an hour. I have reached out to Brotherhobby about this. They're working with their engineers to fix the problem. To turn the board off, just hold down the power button. It'll vibrate, the screen will turn off, and you just turn the board off with the power button. The wheels are 90 millimeters and have a contact area of 64 millimeters. So that's a tad wider than most eSkate street wheels, which means it's going to give you a lot more stability and traction on the road. They're made of a 50A natural rubber, which is the softest material I've ever come across in an electric skateboard wheel, aside from pneumatics. They're also slightly treaded, which will help maintain traction when the road is slightly wet or there is a little bit of debris on the surface. The design pretty much emulates a car tire, so it's perfect for riding on uneven roads and pavement, but I would not recommend taking them off-road. So the trucks are very interesting. They're calling them non-independent leaf spring, and they still run at an angle of 45 degrees. They add a little bit of suspension to the ride, which is very welcoming with a stiff deck. To be honest, I was a little bit hesitant about what the stability would be like with these trucks, but after taking them for a ride, I am extremely impressed. They absorb a lot of bumps in the pavement, and they aren't as wobbly as you might expect. I always like to start out my rides on new boards with really tight trucks, so when I went to tighten them up, it proved to be a little bit of an effort. The locking nut is tucked away in the middle of the spring. I had to get a smaller shifter and struggle my way into the opening of the spring to lock that nut in place while tightening the bolt on top. The supplied T-tool doesn't even fit inside that little spring, even with its little nifty shifting thing. The Land Snail is running dual 750 watt hub motors, so it has plenty of power. I was able to get a top speed of 41 kilometers an hour, which is 25.5 miles per hour, and it could definitely go faster under the right conditions. I climbed a bunch of hills. The steepest was about 10% hill grade, which is actually quite steep. And it made it up, but it was not powering. I don't think it would be able to do anything beyond 15%, maybe not even that. That's just one of the drawbacks with most hub-motored electric skateboards. They do not climb hills that well. If you do have a lot of hills in your area, you'd probably be better off getting a board that is belt motor driven. Brotherhobby told me that the ESC that they have put into the Land Snail is their own custom ESC. But I spoke to Scott Davies and he seems to think that it's a Lingy ESC. And if you've seen his videos, you will know how much he hates Lingy. But I took this thing out and I kind of liked this ESC. It was a very smooth and gradual acceleration, which still had just enough power, and the braking was fairly strong without any jolting. Now, just like all hub motors, it does take quite a bit of time for the board to bring me to a complete stop coming from the top speed. So you always just need to be wary about what's around you at the time, but it is powerful enough to get you out of most sticky situations. The Land Snail has a 222 watt-hour battery, which is a decent size. It hides inside the deck, so you really won't be able to change it easily. If you did want to change it, you'll have to pull up the grip tape to get access to it. To do the range test, I actually went on 2 rides for this board. The first ride was entirely in pro mode, and I went up and down a massive hill. I also tested the top speed on this ride, and I did a lot of carving. And the range that I got was 9.7 kilometers or 6 miles. That's not a lot of range, so I went on a second ride where I rode entirely in high mode at a more casual pace of about 25 kilometers an hour, which is 15 miles per hour, with a few smaller hills. And I got a range of 11.7 kilometers or 7.2 miles. That's only a difference of 2 kilometers, which is 1.2 miles. Remember, I weigh 88 kilos, which is 194 pounds. So if you're a lighter rider riding on nicer roads with less hills, you're going to get a lot more range. I would say you could easily get up to 15 to 20 kilometers. 30 kilometers? I don't really see how that could happen. I kind of like the Brotherhobby Land Snail electric skateboard. It does give up in the end, but before it does, it is a ton of fun. The combination of the big soft wheels with the suspension trucks and the shock-absorbing grip tape makes the ride really comfortable. And it's not just the vibrations that it soaks up. I was going over stones, cracks, bumps, bits of bark, and it was really taking them like a champ. I could hardly feel them when I was going over them. These leaf spring trucks kind of feel like double kingpin trucks, but I think they might even be a little bit more stable. Warranted, you can't get as much as a carve as double kingpin trucks, but you still get enough to have a good time. So that's pretty much everything, eSkaters. That is the Brotherhobby Land Snail 930 electric skateboard. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Ask any questions. I'm happy to discuss specs and features with you. Please like, subscribe, and hit that bell button so you don't miss out on any of the best electric skateboard reviews. I had a lot of fun doing this review for you, so I hope you enjoyed watching it. As always, thank you so much for watching. Ride safe out there, eSkaters, and I'll see you soon.